The opening scene begins with the army of Trivantes passing by Babavas on their way. The army commander orders him to introduce himself, to which Babavas replies, "I'm nobody." Just then, Babavas stabs him to death, and he, along with Kophan, start fighting the remaining soldiers. During the fight, Kophan is unable to kill one of the opponents, so Babavas teaches him how to do so. In the following scene, we see Haniwa, who is chained in an isolated room. Lieutenant Ren enters the room and approaches her. A few moments later, Ido Vos arrives to check on the prisoner and speaks with Ren. She mentions her concerns that if the council finds out that they've smuggled a sighted prisoner into the city, they will be killed. However, Ido Vos assures her that she will be fine because she is simply carrying out orders. Following this, Ren asks about Haniwa and why she's here, and in turn, Haniwa asks about them. Hearing this, Ido Vos approaches her and introduces himself as Commander General Ido Vos. On the other hand, Babavas takes the opponent's armor and weapon and decides to go for Haniwa's aid. He also tells Kophan and Paris to wait for 7 days, and if he doesn't return by then, they should flee as far as they can. Kophan begs Babavas to permit him to accompany him, but Babavas replies that he is not prepared for combat. Additionally, he expresses guilt for not raising him as a warrior. Following the emotional conversation, he leaves. After a while, Ido Vos makes it to the location where his dead soldiers are lying. He immediately realizes that it is Babavas doing. Meanwhile, Babavas enters the Trivantes by pulling off a false identity. Yakis, a buddy of his, recognizes him when he goes to sell his armor. The next scene shows Queen Kane and Magra approaching the city of Pensa with their armies. In the Trivantes, Haniwa talks to Ren and discovers that Ido Vos is Babavas's brother, who has been looking for Babavas for 25 years in an effort to exact revenge for the death of their father. She also finds out that Babavas is being lured there using her as bait. After the revelation, Haniwa tells that her father is a mighty warrior who nobody wants to face, but Ren replies that there is no way he can escape the city alive. As Ren prepares to leave, Haniwa suddenly throws an apple in her direction, but she catches it with ease. Ren reveals that although she can see, she is not Gerlamel's daughter. She further asserts that because the Trivantes are extremely superstitious, she may be put to death if anyone finds out about her vision. Meanwhile, Haniwa queries about what would happen if she tells Ido Vos. This enraged Ren and she puts a knife in Haniwa's neck and claims that Ido Vos will have more faith in a devoted soldier than a hopeless prisoner. Elsewhere, Queen Kane and Princess Magra arrive in Pensa. There, Magra asks the queen to allow their men to search for her family, but the queen responds that they will only do so once they recapture their kingdom. After that, Lord Harlan greets them and offers the queen his place to establish a new kingdom. The queen becomes pleased and happily accepts. On the other hand, Lord Harlan's brother, Kerrigan, is angry at the decision, but Harlan quickly persuades him by pointing out the benefits of having a good relationship with the queen. Meanwhile, Babavas informs Yakis that Ido Vos has abducted his daughter. Hearing this, Yakis speculates that Ido must have been holding his daughter in Base 3. But nobody can enter there as the place is heavily fortified. In the kingdom, Lord Harlan invites Gosset, the top military officer, to meet the queen. Captain Gosset asks the queen for assistance in revealing their adversaries, so they can make the necessary preparations. The queen replies that she will assemble a council shortly and reveal all the attackers of Kanzua. Following this, Magra commands the captain to gather enough men to search for her family, and soon leaves with him. After a brief conversation with the queen, Harlan meets Kerrigan and suggests they learn more about the disagreement between the queen and the princess, as it may be beneficial for them. The next scene features Paris, who is praying for the success of Babavas. A short while later, a witchfinder comes up to her, but at the same time, Kophan knocks him down and they both flee. However, the witchfinder eventually catches them and explains that Princess Magra sent them to retrieve her children. Kophan is skeptical about the claim, but when Paris uses her powers to verify the truth, he agrees to go. As a result, Paris decides to wait alone for Babavas. On the other hand, Ren enters the room to check on Haniwa, but finds her missing. Alarmed, she tries to grab a weapon, but just then, Haniwa attacks her from behind and orders her to let her go. The two of them then start fighting. Haniwa eventually defeats Ren, but she doesn't kill her. Elsewhere, the queen declares in front of everyone that Pensa will be the new capital of the Pan Kingdom. She also says that Kanzua was attacked by the Trivantes because of her pregnancy with the child who possesses God's gift of vision. According to her, the world will transform and people with and without sight will coexist peacefully under her authority. Meanwhile, Yakis leads Babavas to a coal tunnel, and wasting no time, the latter jumps inside. He pays a worker to find the route, and soon gets out of the tunnel. However, when he reaches the top, he finds the same man waiting for him. Turns out that the man ratted on him, and now more workers are there to capture him. Despite being severely outnumbered, Babavas uses his deadly combat moves to slaughter the men. As he exits the place, more of Ido's soldiers attack him. Things seem to be going his way, but just then, the goons use a young boy as bait to capture Babavas. In the next scene, Babavas is shackled in an isolated place, and soon, Ido Vos approaches him. Babavas continuously apologizes for the past incidents and requests him to free his daughter, but Ido is in no mood to listen. Instead, he commands his men to torture his brother and leaves the place. In the meantime, we see Gerlamerl receiving eye treatment in order to regain his vision. Despite the treatment, Gerlamerl is unable to see, and as a result, he freaks out. Gerlamerl's son tries to explain that his cornea is injured, but he is not willing to live a life of blindness. The next scene shows Ren releasing Haniwa from her chain and escorting her out of the building. After they roam around the city for a while, Ren leads her to an abandoned structure. She then claims that it is the only place where she feels safe to be sighted. On the other hand, Ido Vos halts the torture and goes to meet Babavas. When Babavas inquires about his daughter, Ido responds that Haniwa will experience the same suffering as he once did because of Babavas. Before departing, Ido Vos warns him that he will torment him before killing him in order to exact revenge. Elsewhere, Kophan and the Witchfinder engage in a heated conversation where they blame each other for killing innocent people. In Pensa, Captain Gossett attends the council meeting and speaks to the group as the state council. Hearing this, the queen asserts that they don't need a state council, but a council of war. However, Gossett informs her that the council of war doesn't take place until a war has been declared. Enraged, the queen tells him that the Trivantes have already declared war, and God has chosen us to fight them. Contradictingly, Gossett claims that they should first establish a powerful empire, and this time, Magra agrees with him. This angers the queen even more, and she orders everyone to depart. After this, she vents her annoyance at Magra for defying her. Magra defends herself by asking the queen how many lives would she sacrifice to defend her. As the duo argues, Lord Harlan overhears their entire conversation. The next scene features Ren showing Haniwa a diamond necklace with the word forever engraved on it. Suddenly, the duo becomes attracted to one another and starts kissing. On the other hand, Ido Vos discovers that Queen Kane deceived her own people by falsely accusing Trivantes of attacking Kanzua. Meanwhile, Babavas attacks a guard, and as a result, he is forced inside a cell. There, he meets Tamakti Jun, who is surprisingly alive. Jun reveals that Magra is still alive, but only he knows her actual location. Despite the information, Babavas suspects him of lying and becomes enraged. Meanwhile, Lord Harlan approaches the queen and tries to sway her into marrying. The queen declines the request, but she convinces him to propose to Magra and also promises to support him. The following day, the queen formally requests Magra to marry Harlan, but she flatly declines. The queen informs her that it is a strategy to defeat the adversaries, but Magra is still adamant on her decision. At the same moment, they witness the villagers protesting the queen's reign. On the other hand, when Ren and Haniwa head back, they spot the same-sided boy, who was used to capture Babavas. Here, Ren reveals to Haniwa that the boy is Gerlamerl's son. She also assures Haniwa that she will do whatever it takes to keep her safe. A short while later, Ido Vos tells Ren to bring Haniwa downstairs. When she goes out, she discovers her father locked up in a cage. Meanwhile, Ido Vos approaches them and mentions that it's their final meeting. He also reveals to everyone that Babavas killed their father and ran away. Meanwhile, Ren requests Ido Vos to spare Haniwa, but he declines. Left with no options, she decides to take matters into her own hands. In the next scene, Ren enters the place where Babavas is being kept and releases him after taking out a few guards. Just then, Tamakti Jun also asks to be released. Initially, Ren declines the request, but when Babavas asserts that he needs Tamakti Jun to find Magra, she agrees. However, as soon as Tamakti Jun comes out of his cell, Babavas attacks him and mentions that nothing has changed between them. Elsewhere, Ido Vos takes Haniwa to an isolated room and sends one of his men to assault her. Fortunately, as he is about to do so, Ren shoots him with an arrow and kills him. After this, Ren hands Haniwa a bow and arrow, mentioning that it is from Babavas. Meanwhile, Babavas runs into Ido Vos, and the two engage in a fight. Sadly, Babavas is of no match to his brother, and he gets severely beaten. After a while, Ido takes out his father's sword and places it on Babavas' neck. Tired and defeated, Babavas pleads for his daughter's release, but Ido mentions that she will devote the rest of her life in his lairs. nursing sighted infants for his army until her womb is no longer able. After that, he will slit her throat to death. Just then, Haniwa shows up and shoots Ido Vos with multiple arrows. After getting back up, Babavas places his sword on Ido's neck and issues a warning that if he comes after his children again, he will kill him. As soon as they depart, Ido Vos sounds an alarm to his army. Outside, Haniwa is on the verge of killing Tamakti Jun when her father intervenes to stop her. He tells her that her mother is still alive, and that Tamakti is the only person who can take them to her. Eventually, they overcome the adversaries and arrive at the entrance. Before departing, Ren hands Haniwa the same necklace and bids her goodbye. She then barricades the entrance, allowing the group to escape before Ido's forces can catch up on them. On the other hand, Boots learns that the queen has killed Korra by stabbing her. Confused, he asks the queen why she did so, and the latter reveals that her baby has died. The queen then demands to know what Boots put inside her, to which he replies that he just did what she asked for. He also tries to comfort her by promising to reproduce again, so that she can have a healthy baby. However, the queen refuses to hear any of his plans and instead, she kills him. Subscribe and hit that like button to help grow our channel. And don't forget to click the notification icon so you won't miss any of our new videos. Thanks for watching.